First and foremost, happy birthday, Mr. Met. And since we're celebrating, how about that start the Mets have gotten off to 12 games into the new season? Let's talk all things Mets baseball with our Mets beat writer for the Post, Mike Puma. Mike, I said Mets four times. They only have four losses on the season, 8-4 start to start it off. Juan Soto's been Juan Soto. Polar Bear Pete has had some big at-bats. And this bullpen has really held up pretty well early in the season. We knew how good this team looked on paper coming out of spring training, but does it surprise you that they've gotten off to such a good start?
No, I'm not surprised at all. And listen, they've played the Miami Marlins six times, and that's not to take anything away from the Mets start, but also let's look at that fact that half of their games have been against Miami. But the pitching has been terrific to this point. Still waiting for that lineup to get going. Yeah, you mentioned Juan Soto's been Juan Soto. His numbers are pretty good. It's just like you're waiting for him to kind of make that big impact we've been waiting for. It hasn't been there. Alonso's kind of the guy with those thunderous hits right now, really carrying the lineup. But they have to get some other guys going here. You know, Mark Vientos has to get going. Lindor, Brett Beatty's been a disappointment through 12 games. So I think that's what we're going to look for on this road trip here is for that offense to get going.
Yeah, Juan Soto has been solid, but in those money moments, he hasn't delivered just yet. And it's like we're all sitting on pins and needles, just waiting for that ninth inning home run where he kind of takes over and wins a game for the Mets. But you mentioned how Polar Bear Pete Alonso, has kind of looked good early in the season. Players on the teams are saying that he looks like he's on a mission with the start of his season. So how much do you think that Vlad Jr. contract has impacted Pete's season, and how will it impact his offseason as well?
Well, it's certainly going to help him, but the other thing is Alonso's a lot older than Vlad, heading back to free agency. Pete's in his early 30s. Vlad's 26, 27 years old, whatever he is. But the thing that's going to help Alonso the most, and I think John Heyman pointed out this morning in his column, just the fact that Pete won't have the qualifying offer attached to him when he heads to free agency in the offseason. That certainly held him back this time around. But Alonso's getting it done with the bat. He's looked good defensively at first base. If you're naming an MVP of the team after 12 seasons, it's certainly been after 12 games, I should say. It's certainly Pete Alonso.
And earlier you mentioned how terrific the pitching has been. Were you expecting Max Kranick to have such a strong start to the season? I mean, especially with everything this dude has had to overcome over the last, what, 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, and listen, when spring training began, I didn't even really think he was going to be on the team, just with some of the other options they had. But he looked good right from the start. The fact that he can pitch multiple innings and go out there and give them 2 innings, 3 innings, whatever it might be. He's been a really a force in that bullpen. Him and Huascar Brazaban both have pitched well in that multi-inning role. So we'll see if they can keep it going here. It's tough to sustain, but Kranich look really good.
I got to throw in a Francisco Lindor question in here. 244 batting average, one home run, five RBIs, and 10 hits to start the season. How would you grade the start to this year, this start to the season for Francisco Lindor?
I don't know if I'd want to give it a grade quite yet, but he's been so-so. He had a game where he had a couple of defensive lapses. Offensively, it looks like maybe the last few days he's starting to get on track a little bit. But this has kind of been the MO for Francisco Lindor. He hasn't been a very good player in April, at least since he's been with the Mets. So, but there's time here. We don't have to build in the narrative that he's off to a slow start yet. Let's give it a couple. Let's give it a couple of weeks and see where he is at that point. But right now it's been slow.
All right, that's just something that I wanted definitely keep my eye on because last year he just what he was able to do and progress through the summer, and then next thing you know, he's up for NL Player of the Year. One thing I wanted to ask you about was how Steve Cohen kind of sold the idea of family to Juan Soto in his pitch to get him to sign with the Mets. The Mets now have a new family room and daycare center at Citi Field for the players' kids and their families. This might not be that big of a deal to fans, but it's a big deal to players. It's the little things. So are the players kind of looking at Steve Cohen now as more than just a checkbook owner?
Yeah, that family attitude that Steve and Alex Cohn have, and I wrote about the new family room and daycare center that was unveiled last week for I wrote about for Post Sports Plus today, and I talked to a guy, Ryan Stanek, a veteran player who's been around, has a young family, and it just fosters an attitude of caring and the players love it. And one player told me that Alex Cohen was made aware of the fact that the Phillies had probably the best family room in the league, and she was determined that the Mets were going to be the best. So they went out and redid it, and you could tell the players like being here for more than the fact that Steve Cohen is writing big checks.
Well, I have an almost 2 year old I would love to drop off at this family center at Citi Field next time I go to a game. I hope they can keep up with him. But Mike Puma, thank you for hopping on with this today.
Thank you.